Thank you. Now we'll go briefly to questions. Senator Di Natale, did you have questions?
Yes, thank you. I might just start with the AVN. Now, you've referred to yourself as the AVN on a number of occasions through this submission. My understanding was that you were instructed to change your name. Can you explain to me why you keep referring to yourselves as the Australian Vaccination Network?
I'll respond to that by saying, what on earth relevance does that have to this inquiry?
Well, I'll get to that
number
in a moment.
two.
I'll get to that in a moment, but I'm just interested in the reasons for the representation of yourselves as the Australian Vaccination Network when you've been instructed to change your name. So just want an understanding
when I was president, it was called the Australian Vaccination Network. Chair, is this relevant?
It's not relevant.
Hang on, order. The witnesses are entitled to ask questions. We tend to have a fairly wide-ranging discussion, so if you're entitled to answer the question how you like, but I'm not going to rule out Senator Di Natale's questions. He's entitled to ask his questions.
I'll answer it with this. I'd like to know why you haven't recused yourself from this panel, Senator Di Natale, given the fact that you've very publicly shown your derision for the people who this bill is going to most affect. Why haven't you recused yourself? You should have nothing to do with this process whatsoever.
I'll ask witnesses and people in the gallery to just keep order as best we can, and there's no need for applause and the like. I understand strong feelings, but we'll try and have a back and forth with questions. So, Senator Di Natale, continue.
Chair, I've asked just a specific question. I'm keen to get an answer. It's actually quite a serious issue because a ruling has been made, and I'm concerned that this organisation is representing themselves in a capacity in which they're not able to do so. So I think it's important that we understand the rationale for them representing themselves as a group to which they're not entitled to do. So that's where I'd like to start.
I might just intervene there. Certainly, I've made it clear in terms of the name when I introduced them. I'm not going to stop them from saying certain things. These things are on the record, and you've now noted that in terms of that. So obviously that's then on the public record, and it's on the Hansard record, and people can read that and be aware of it.
It's good to see, Senator Di Natale, that you're doing great work for the skeptics. I've been a member of the Greens since 2001, and I'll have to tell you now, I think you're a disgrace to the Green movement, and you will end up like the Australian Democrats at the next primary. Your primary vote is going to be gutted like the Democrats. So well done.
Okay, well, we'll try and stick to answering questions if we could. Senator Di Natale.
Thank you, and Chair, I just urge you to ensure that the hearings conducted in the spirit in which most of these hearings are conducted.
I'm certainly doing my best, Senator Di Natale, and I'm giving you the call. And obviously, I can't instruct witnesses how to answer, but I would ask people to all be respectful to one another.
Limited time, so I'm hoping that we can actually concentrate on the issues here and not worry about what Rupert Murdoch and News Limited want you to say today at this hearing.
Mrs. Smith, Senator Di Natale.
So I'm given that
and we can go to questions.
Yeah, given that today's hearing isn't actually about the effectiveness of vaccines, I'm more interested in the credibility of the witnesses here today. Now, in terms of the evidence provided by the Australian Vaccination-skeptics network, there was a ruling made by the Health Complaints Commission in New South Wales that the information they provide on vaccination is, and I quote, misleading to the average reader because it's either incorrect, inaccurately represented, or because it's been taken out of context. And that was a ruling by the Health Complaints Commission in New South Wales. What has the organisation done to correct the way in which they present that information, and how is that different today compared with the manner in which they've presented information on this issue in the past?
About the AVN, there's a lot of groups here that aren't represented by the AVN, and you're wasting a lot of our time. I know Mr Murdoch wants you to ask these questions, Mr Di Natale.
A group of witnesses, and I think we need to respect the...
It's going to be virtually impossible if people speak over one another. Now, I can't order Senator Di Natale what questions to ask. He's entitled to ask his questions, and you can choose to answer them in whatever way you like. We are almost out of time, and it is unhelpful. So there was a question. I missed most of it, but okay, but I'm not going to instruct senators how to ask their questions. They're all entitled to ask their questions. We are virtually out of time. If someone would like to address the question that Senator Di Natale has,
we don't want to address
more
that
questions.
Question. We don't.
Okay, well, it sounds like that's it sounds like there will. Sorry, Mrs. Kemp, would you like to answer?
Don't you use up all the time?
Well, we've used it all the time, so I'd like to say some more things.
We've got an internationally recognised expert.
Order. It is unhelpful when we have several people speaking at once. I would ask that we have one person speaking at a time.